Good evening, everyone. In this session, we will discuss the chemical energetic questions and mainly the doubts related to the topic. The first one is question number 2. In this question, we have 50 cm cube of hydrochloric acid. So we have 50 cm cube of hydrochloric acid having a concentration of 2 mole per dm cube is added to 50 cm cube of sodium hydroxide solution, which is also having the same concentration. The temperature changed by 13 degree. The experiment was repeated using 25 cm cube of the same concentration hydrochloric acid and 50 cm cube of sodium hydroxide. So basically, as you can see, if we have the volume and concentration same for the first part, the volume and concentration same, it means we will have equal number of moles of HCl and NaOH. Because when concentration times volume in dm cube, we'll get the moles. So we'll have the equal number of moles of HCl and sodium hydroxide. And that caused the temperature change by 13. So the change in temperature, for that case, it is 13 degree. But in the second part, what we did, we repeat the experiment using 25 cm cube of hydrochloric acid and 50 cm cube of sodium hydroxide with the same concentration. So basically, when we use 25 cm cube of hydrochloric acid, it means hydrochloric acid is now a limiting reagent. And if we reduce if we keep the same concentration and reduce the volume, so the moles will also decrease. The formula which relate the energy change and the temperature change, or energy with temperature change, we have the formula E is equals to Cm delta T. So the change in temperature delta T is equals to E divided by Cm, where E is the energy depending on the moles and M is the mass, or that is related to volume, because we consider the density is 1 gram per centimeter cube. That's why the mass is same as the volume. So in short, we can say the energy change is proportional to, or energy release is proportional to temperature change, and that is energy release depending on the number of the moles. And same way, the mass and temperature change are inversely proportional. 1 by m is proportional to delta T, or they're inversely proportional. So what happened? First, we check when we check in terms of moles, because originally we used 50 cm cube of 2 mole per dm cube, but now we are using 25 cm cube of 2 mole per dm cube HCl. So if the number of moles of HCl is volume of HCl is half, so its moles will also be half, because sodium hydroxide is now an excess reagent, so the energy release depending on the limiting reagent. So as the moles become half, the energy release will also be half. And if energy release is half, the temperature change will also divided by 2. So due to the change in the mole number, due to the change in energy, the temperature change is divided by 2. But what about the volume? When we check the volume, originally we were using 50 cm cube of sodium hydroxide and 50 cm cube of HCl. So the total volume initially it was used was 100 cm cube. But now, like original volume was 100 cm cube, that was causing a temperature change of 13. But now what we did, we used 25 cm cube of hydrochloric acid and 50 cm cube of sodium hydroxide. So the volume is now 75 cm cube. So volume is 75 cm cube. How much is the temperature change due to change in volume? And they are inversely proportional. So when two quantities are inversely proportional, if one is multiplied, the other should be divided. So if 100 is there, it turned into 75. So it means this one is divided by 1.35. 1.33, because 100 divided by 1.33, you will get 75. So if this is divided by 1.33, means it should be multiplied by 1.33. So due to change in moles, it should be divided the temp due to change that what will be the overall change in temperature due to change in the mole, the temperature change should be divided by 2, and due to change in the volume, as the volume or the mass is decreased, so temperature change should be higher, so it will increase by 1.33. So original temperature is 13, so when we simplify 13 times 1.33 divided by 2, so that is about 8.645, or which is about 8.7. That's why C is the right answer. Is it clear? Then the next doubt is from question number 5D2. So this one is question number 5. 250 cm cube of a solution was prepared by dissolving 3.29 gram of sodium carbonate. Use this mass and your answer to D1. Determine the value of X. So first we'll do D1. Calculate the amounts of moles of sodium carbonate in 25 cm cube. So we have the formula. The hydrated sodium carbonate can be represented by a formula Na2CO3.X2O, where X value can be found. We can find it by making up a solution of sodium carbonate and titrating with hydrochloric acid. A known mass of sodium hydrogen carbonate is there, hydrated, dissolved, and it make 250 cm cube. Then we just took out of 250, we just took 25 cm cube. And then we titrated with hydrochloric acid with the concentration, and the mean titer, the volume of hydrochloric acid used was this. So we have calculate the number of moles of sodium carbonate. So how to work out the moles of sodium carbonate in 250 cm cube? First, we should know the moles of HCl. So moles of HCl, that will be equal to concentration into volume. The concentration of HCl is 0.09 and the volume, that is 25.6 cm cube, we should convert into dm cube. So we'll divide by 1000. So when we multiply this, we will get the moles of the HCl which we use. So this will come out as 0.0023. 0.0023. Then we will use a mole ratio. The mole ratio for hydrochloric acid and sodium carbonate, it is 1:2. So if 1:2 is a mole ratio, it means if we have sodium carbonate and HCl, so 1:2 is the ratio. So if we have the number of moles of sodium carbonate, which are number of moles of HCl, which are 0.0023, the number of moles of sodium carbonate will be X. So we'll divide this by 2. We'll get the value for X, the number of moles of sodium carbonate. So moles will be there for sodium carbonate Na2CO3. The mole ratio is 1:2. So according to that, we'll divide this by 2. So 0.0023 divided by 2. So we'll get 0.001152. So these are the moles of sodium carbonate. The next part, but that is in 25 cm cube because titration is done. This we titrate, that is 25 cm cube. But if we need for 250 cm cube, because the volume here is 10 times, like the number of the moles which are present in 25, the number of moles present in 250 will be 10 times. As you can see, the ratio of the volume, so as the ratio of the volume change, the number of the moles will be 10 times. So this value should be multiplied by 10. So when this value is multiplied by 10, we will get 0.01152. Because the titration is done only for 25 cm cube sample, but originally it was 250, and out of 250 we just take out 25 and titrate it with hydrochloric acid. Then when we work out these moles, because these are the moles of hydrochloric acid which is reacting with 25 cm cube of sample, so in 250 cm cube of sample it should be 10 times. Then 250 cm cube solution was prepared by dissolving 3.29 gram of sodium hydrogen carbonate hydrated. Use the mass and use your answer to D1. We have to get the value of X. So we already know the moles of sodium carbonate. As in the previous part, we know the moles of sodium carbonate. This is 3.29 gram is there. So first we'll find the mass of sodium carbonate and subtract. Using the previous answer, we'll get the moles, the mass of sodium carbonate, and subtract from the total mass of hydrated. So we'll know how much water molecule. Basically what we'll do, the mass of the water will be the mass of hydrated minus mass of anhydrous. So when we subtract hydrated minus anhydrous, we will get the mass of water, and after getting the mass of water, we'll divide it by molar mass, so we'll get the moles of water. So the mass of anhydrous sodium carbonate, so the mass of Na2CO3, that is equals to moles multiplied by molar mass. So moles in the previous part 0.01152. Molar mass, sodium is 23 times 2, carbon is 12, and oxygen is 16 times 3. So that will be 48. So when we sum them, that will be 106. So when we multiply, so this is 1.221 gram of anhydrous sodium carbonate is there. To get the mass of the water, hydrated minus anhydrous, the mass of hydrated, as we can see, this mass of the hydrated one was given in the question 3.29 minus mass of anhydrous, the one which is not having any water, that is 1.221. When we subtract, we'll get the mass of H2O. So the difference in the two masses will be 2.0688, and after getting the mass, we just need the moles. So moles equal mass in gram, which is 2.0688, divided by molar mass of water, which is 18. So when we divide this, we'll get 0.11, we'll get 9.98, which is approximately equal to 10. Because this value of x, it should be a whole number. That's why this x is equals to 10 here, the nearest whole number. Is it clear, this question? Then another question which is a doubt. This was question 5, then question 11, 12. So the table shows amount of energy released per gram when some alkanes are burned in excess under standard. Which alkane has a standard enthalpy change of combustion? So this is when we are burning each gram of it. But we want to convert, we want to find when we burn each mole of it. So for methane, like example, this is the energy released per gram. So energy is there in kilojoule and the mass is there. So basically this is energy divided by mass. Then what we have to do, like this is 1 gram. So, or every gram, so we'll find moles in 1 gram of methane, moles in 1 gram of ethane, moles in 1 gram of propane, and we'll divide by that number. So we'll get the correct answer. So this is 55.6 gram. So 55.6 kilojoule per gram. Like when each gram is burned, when every gram is burned, it means 55.6 joules of energy is released. So we need the moles here for 1 gram. So moles equal mass in gram. It is 1 divided by molar mass of methane. So that is equals to carbon is 12 and hydrogen is 4, because 4 carbon and hydrogen atoms are there. So this will be 16. So 1 gram contain 1 divided by 16. So this will be 1 divided by 16. So 0.0625. So basically, when this many moles of methane are burned, this is the energy release. We need for every mole, for each mole, so what we'll do, we'll divide by this. So to get energy per mole, so this number 55.6 divided by 0.0625. So 55.6 divided by 0.062, we'll get 889 kilojoule per mole. So it does not match with this. Then we'll check with ethane. Ethane is C2 and H6. Then we'll check for propane and then butane as well. So butane is C4 and H10. So first we'll find the moles in 1 gram. So moles equal mass in gram, it's 1, and molar mass 12 multiplied by 448, and then plus 8 is there. So 48 plus 8, that will be 56. So 1 divided by 56, we'll get the moles here. So that is 0.017. And to get the energy, this energy because if this many moles are burned, this is the energy release. But we need for each mole, so it will be 49.6 divided by 0.017. So 49.6 divided by 0.017, which is approximately equal to 2900. So which is equal to 2877, the nearest one. That's why D is the right answer. Is it clear, question 11? Or you can also solve in terms of energy and mass. So this is 55.6 when 1 gram is burned. But we need for 1 mole of methane means 16. So if 16 is there, this will be X, cross multiply. You will get the answer. Same thing for ethane, 52 is there for 1 gram. But 1 mole of ethane means how much? It is C2NH6. So 24 plus 6, 30 will be there. So 30 will be X. Same thing, propane, if you want to check, so 50.4 is there for each gram, 1 gram. But propane is C3 and H8, so 36 plus 8, 44. So if we have 44 gram, this will be X. And for same thing for butane, 49.6 is for their 12 multiplied by, this is for 1 gram, but 12 multiplied by 4, 48 plus 8, 56 gram, it will be X. So cross multiply, so it matches with option D. So both ways it can be done, as instead of converting into mole, you can just use the 1 mole is having what mass, and according to that you will compare. In question 12, the enthalpy change of the two reactions are shown. What is the enthalpy change of dissociation of CH3COH aqueous into the ions? Look, in this case, you can see the two equations. If we remove, because we don't want OH, so if we remove OH from two equations, it means we don't need OH and we don't need water. So it's like solving a mathematical equation, simultaneous equation. So if I subtract the two equations from each other, when we subtract one equation from the other, the sign will change. So this will be minus, 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 and this will be plus because it was originally minus. So this OH will cancel with OH. This H2O will cancel with H2O. So what we are left with, we are left with H plus, the hydrogen plus is there. Then this is minus CH3COOH gives minus CH3CO. And when we simplify, it was coming out because minus 57.2 plus 56, so it is minus 1.2. When, well, it's like a mathematical equation, this is negative, other side positive, and other way around. So this will come here, so it will be positive CH3CO gives, and this will move to right hand side, the molecule CH3COOH, and the energy change is minus 1.2. But we don't need this. What we want, we want a reverse reaction because we want a dissociation of the ethanoic acid. So if ethanoic acid dissociate, if ions combine and form ethanoic acid, the energy change is minus 1.2. But if it was other way around, like if we completely switch the change the equation, that ethanoic acid dissociate into ethanoate ion and H plus, so what will the energy change? It will be 1.2, positive 1.2. Why the sign completely changes? Because we reverse the arrow, direction of arrow. Ions form a molecule that was negative 1.2, but we want a molecule to form an ion. So when molecule forms an ion, the energy change will be opposite. That's why if one is negative, the other one should be positive. Is it clear, this question? Then next is question 21. Which of the following enthalpy changes cannot be measured directly? Basically, for endothermic reactions, we cannot measure the energy change directly. What is the reason for that? Because in endothermic reactions, how we will know that at what point the reaction has completed? So practically for endothermic reactions, it is difficult to measure the enthalpy change directly. So we have to recognize, or we have to identify which one is an endothermic change, and according to that we can state the answer. So when you check the options available here, combustion of hydrogen, combustion is always exothermic. I skipped the first one, A, because that is the answer. Formation of carbon dioxide, how carbon dioxide is formed when you burn something or respiration. So these all are exothermic changes. Combustion of carbon monoxide, you burn anything, exothermic. So it means the formation of the methane is endothermic, and endothermic reactions, it is difficult to measure directly, or even because first what happened, the bonds, when a methane is formed, first the bond breaking will occur and then the bond forming. So how we will know that this much energy is sufficient to break the bond? Even, for example, so first we have to supply energy, and when the bonds form, the energy will be released. But it is difficult to know what amount of energy must be supplied so that all the bonds will break. That's why practically, like directly, we cannot measure the enthalpy change of formation of methane. Is it clear? Discussion? Next is question 24. Consider the following bond enthalpies. The enthalpy change of a reaction. So enthalpy change, basically it is bond breaking minus bond forming is equals to, when some of the bonds break, some of the bonds form. When we take bond breaking minus bond forming, that is enthalpy change. So in carbon monoxide, the bond in carbon monoxide, so that is 1077. For 1 mole of oxygen, when we break 1 mole of oxygen bond, that is 498. But in the question, we don't have 1 mole, we have only half mole only, because this is written kilojoule per mole. When 1 mole is burned, or so we have only half mole, so it will be 498 divided by 2. So it will be 249. That's a bond breaking. So 249 plus 1077. So bond breaking energy, the total is 1326. The bond forming for one, because in carbon dioxide, one molecule of carbon dioxide, there are two CO bonds, so 1 and 2. So this energy will be twice, so 805 multiplied by 2, that is 1610. And the energy change is bond breaking minus bond forming. So when we take a difference, 1326 minus 1610, so it will come out as minus 284 kilojoule per mole. Is it clear? Then the next question is question number, this was 24, after 29 is there. In an experiment to measure the enthalpy change of a reaction, as zinc is added to a copper solution from copper metal and zinc ion. 3 gram of zinc powder in excess. So zinc is in excess. Whenever we calculate the enthalpy change using a formula E is equals to Cm delta T, we always consider a limiting reagent. So 3 gram of zinc is there, which is in excess. Because if I take an excess substance, it means um, all of the moles does not react. If all of the moles does not react, and when I'm finding the enthalpy change, because the enthalpy change is equals to energy divided by moles. So I will have an extra moles, and which not all of them reacted, so I'll not get the correct result answer. So it was added to 30 cm cube solution of concentration 1 mole. So using the limiting reagent is a copper here, so mole is concentration into volume. The concentration is 1 and the volume is 30, but that should be in dm cube, it is given in cm cube, so it is 0.03. And to get the enthalpy change is energy divided by mole. So C and D cannot be an answer because in that case the mole is multiplied instead of divided. So we are left with either A can be an answer for question 29 or it can be B. Then when we substitute the value, how to get the specific heat E? So E is equals to Cm delta T. So 4.2 is there. Multiplied by mass, because we consider the density is 1 gram per centimeter cube. So the mass is same as the volume. So volume of the solution is 30 cm cube. So mass will be 30. And multiplied by temperature change, so 47.6. So that's why A will be the right answer for this. Then after question 29, there is question 31. The enthalpy change of a reaction when carbon react with oxygen gives carbon monoxide cannot be measured directly. Since the carbon dioxide is always formed in the reaction, it can be calculated by using the Hess law. So the enthalpy changes of a combustion of graphite and carbon monoxide is given. We need the enthalpy change of a reaction for graphite with oxygen. Okay. So basically what happened, we want this reaction. We want carbon react with half oxygen gives carbon monoxide. This is question number 31. So we have to relate them. As you can see, carbon react with oxygen, give carbon dioxide. So what can happen? This carbon might react with oxygen, it might give carbon dioxide, CO2. But how it will react with oxygen? So there should be additional oxygen here, like because for CO2 means one oxygen molecule, here is half, so there should be an extra oxygen, carbon react with extra oxygen, give carbon dioxide. Or what happened, carbon monoxide can further burn with more oxygen. So I can write it here, or even I can write, because they have a common product, the common product of combustion when we burn them. So it can be carbon dioxide as well. So using the Hess law, where the two arrows are pointing out, that is always refers to start of the cycle. And where the two arrows are pointing in, that is the end of the cycle. So according to Hess law, the overall energy change is independent of the route or the path we follow. So if carbon react with half oxygen, give carbon monoxide, that is unknown, X. But when carbon monoxide is burned to give carbon dioxide, so carbon monoxide burned to give carbon dioxide, enthalpy change, this is minus 283. And when carbon plus oxygen give carbon dioxide directly, the enthalpy change is minus 394. So if we follow route 1, this is route 1, or we follow route 2, the overall energy change is independent of the route or the path. So it will be X, then plus, and then the energy change is minus 283 is equals to minus 394. So this is negative, other side will be plus minus minus. So it will be X minus 283 is equals to minus 394. Minus 394 will move to other side. So minus 394 plus 283. So when we substitute, it will be minus 111. So minus 111 kilojoule per mole. So C should be the right answer for question 31. Is it clear? We have to basically relate the two reactions with each other by a common product. Then question number 37 is there. In question 37, consider the following data. What is the relation between A, B, C, and D? So we have to work out like how the reaction can occur. So sulfur plus hydrogen give hydrogen sulfide. So if we have hydrogen sulfide plus 1 by 1 whole number 1 by 2 oxygen, they give water H2O, because all the three, as you can see, the first three equations are formations, elements forming a compound, so all of them are formation. So H2O is there plus sulfur dioxide. This is a reaction. The last one is actually a reaction. All three are formation. So when formation is there, the link which we add is element. So it means there should be a sulfur, then hydrogen will be there, and then how much oxygen? One whole number 1 by 2 will be oxygen. So if hydrogen and sulfur react with each other, it can form hydrogen sulfide. So if hydrogen and sulfur react, it form hydrogen sulfide. So that is called A. So we can say this is A. If hydrogen and oxygen react or sulfur and oxygen react, it gives water and sulfur dioxide. So this is what, when hydrogen and oxygen react, it gives water. So that is a formation of water B. Or sulfur and oxygen react, it can form sulfur dioxide. So that is the formation of sulfur dioxide, or we can say C. So this is C, and this one, the reaction that is given D. So where the two arrows are pointing out, that is the start of the cycle, and where the two arrows are pointing in, that is the end of the cycle. Whenever formations are given, so element will be there at the bottom. So overall energy change is independent of the route or the path we follow. So we can say A, this is route 1. So we can say A plus D is equals to B plus C. And we need A only, so A is equals to B plus C minus D. So B plus C minus D, that's why for 37, A should be the right answer. Is it clear? So whenever formation is given, you will add a link which is called element. So this was about energetics till 37. I'll share another link and continue this discussion.